If you were privy to the contents of the Rachel Reeves budget on the 26th November 2025 and somehow still think you live in a democracy, then I'm sorry to tell you that you might need some help because I think there might be something actually wrong with you. I was not surprised by the budget last year, which put up taxes by over £40 billion. And I'm not surprised by the additional £26 billion in tax rises in this budget either. Expecting politicians to keep their promise is like expecting Jeffrey Epstein to not be a PDF file. You know that's not going to happen. But what does strike me as sinister is the extension on the freeze on the income tax thresholds from 2028 till 2031. Because this careless decision is going to end up doing more damage to the poor and the middle class in this country in ways you can't even expect. And if you knew what was coming for you, you most likely will be wearing an iron helmet. But you can keep on thinking your 50p increase in your minimum wage payment is a benefit. I truly hope you can still afford rent in the upcoming years. So in the words of the great philosopher Getter Fabulous, I'm too old to kid you, so I have to adult you. And what I'm about to share with you is the brutal reality of the future you are staring at. Because the only people that win from this budget again is the financial sector in the City of London, the true masters of oligarchy Britain. So let's begin.
Fuck.
Here in the UK, we have what you would call a parliamentary system of government made up of two main parties. While one is in power, the other stays in opposition. It's pretty standard stuff. Since 2024, the Labour Party led by Keir Starmer is the party in charge making a mess of things, while the Conservative Party or Tories, who made a mess for the last 14 years, pretend they care again because they have a black female leader in Kemi Badenoch now. It's the same kabuki theatre we have in most two-party system nations like Jamaica and the USA. But what makes the UK unique is the fact that we have a monarchy and currently a king. And apart from the fact that people like the monarchy for historical reasons, there is actually no good reason for us peasants to continue paying for the luxury of aristocrats. But that's a grievance for another time. Now, ever since the establishment of the Magna Carta Charter in the year 1215, which limited the power of the king, most people have been under the illusion that the monarchy doesn't actually have any real power. Yet they miss the point entirely that the House of Lords, which is an exclusive by appointment or birthright group, exists to scrutinize the laws and legislations passed by the House of Commons. You know, the people you actually voted for. Well, it's a free country, you can keep believing in the delusion of the powerless monarchy if you want, but that's not either here nor there. When Thomas Hobbes wrote in the book Leviathan about how an all-powerful king should be in control of all aspects of society, I don't think in his worst fever dreams that he would have imagined this. But then again, here we are. The illusion that we the masses have been sold is the fact that the UK is a democracy. This is simply because we get to make an arbitrary choice every few years about which political party will rule us and how much of the crumbs of the table we will get in the form of tax breaks from the same bread we baked ourselves in the form of our salaries. We do this in the hopes of believing that our chosen politicians actually want what's best for us, since we are deluded enough to think that they are accountable to us, when the reality is they are accountable to the mega rich and powerful who bankrolled their careers and fed them candies. You in reality are the peasant that tilt the field and grow the food, and you will take what you are handed by your lord. This is essentially feudalism with your willing participation, because either you serve in this system or you end up starving and begging. It's not a coincidence that there are now people walking in traffic begging for your change during every stop on a major road, while sleeping on cardboards under bridges like trolls. And if you decide that you want to ask the government for some help in the form of welfare, well, then you will end up being stigmatized by the rich media moguls for being a failure and a drain on society in general. Either way, you can't win. But let me ask you this simple question. Do you think it's a coincidence that farmers are being taxed while bankers are allowed offshore accounts? Use your head.
Let me think about it.
The truth is this. The financial sector, which is the collection of the wealthiest people in the UK economy, does in fact hold this country hostage. The monarchy, parliament and civil servants all function at the behest of this collection of people because with a single whim, they can plunge this nation into utter misery. You saw this happen with the Liz Truss budget with the rapid sell-off in the bond market which crashed the value of the pound. And ever since that moment, all subsequent budgets are prepared specifically to make them happy or else. You are now welcome to the era of gunboat diplomacy, but the weapon of choice now is money. You, the average worker and citizen, is also not free from their grasp because they have control of the one thing you need, your pension, which you will one day need in your old age in order to simply survive. It's been this way since the introduction of the direct contribution pension system, where people were convinced that they had to work for decades and put away money for the future, which they would generously invest for them. Although what you actually get back as interest from your money is pittance in comparison to the actual interest on your money. most of which are kept in the form of yearly fees. And now, even that money is not free from taxation. Because how dare a peasant like you save for a time when you cannot work and need that money the most? You should be ashamed of yourself for wanting to live comfortably in your old age. This was not the case when there was still the defined benefit or final salary pension, which guaranteed that your employer would pay you until your death your monthly salary on the year of retirement every month. Again, you can thank your politicians for the privilege of tossing that away, because God forbid that you actually get a little bit of the wealth that you have given your years away to build for an uncaring fucking company. We must also keep in mind that the easiest person to control is the person with no security, because they don't have anywhere to run really. And since a basic necessity like housing was turned into an investment vehicle in order to appease the financial markets, the concept of home ownership has strictly evaporated. This was not the state of affairs if you went as far back as the 60s and 70s when you could buy a home on a common worker's salary and also provide for your family. The lie they used to sell this to you was that of social mobility and the dream that you would get rich one day for being a homeowner. What they left out in the fine print was the fact that bankers had more money than you and could buy more houses to be used as investment assets later. In current year 2025, it would be a miracle to afford your house on an average UK salary without the bank of mom and dad. Price gouging rent is the order of the day, and you can kiss your dreams of housing security goodbye, for you are a perpetual renter. And even when you can afford to buy a house of your own, well, then you would have to pay an arm and a leg in stamp duty to the government goons. Welcome to the housing mafia. Don Keir Starmer says you can now kiss the ring. The target in sight now is food security, and it's your local farmers that are now being extorted for the privilege of growing the food that feeds you and your family at an affordable price. And before you start talking about the nonsense of, oh, farmers are rich because they have land and all that shit, understand that the land is being used to provide a tangible benefit to society in general. Sure, we can order our food from other countries like takeaway because in your wisdom we have the EU. But tell me, are you also the kind of person to give control of your bank account to the Nigerian prince or the Asian man who tells you they can manage your finances better for you? Hopefully you're smarter than that. Whomever feeds you controls you, and I don't believe in infinite generosity. All that will happen with this dumb policy is the fact that farmers will sell their land to mega corporations who have the cash to buy them. And in case you haven't understood my points on houses, leaving food production in the hands of people that make decisions based on price per share is not the smartest move. Eventually, it will be us that will be fucked in the end, and they will use the boogeyman of inflation as the excuse to do it. You can mark my words on that.
But wait! There's more!
But maybe you are the type that believes in political change, and that's wonderful. You think that perhaps Labour is a useless party, which they are, and the Tories are no better, which is also true. So off to the dump with the lot of them. You are either going to go to the Green Party, the Your Party, or to Reform, because they will definitely do better, right? Well, my sweet summer child, you really are a simple one, aren't you? But I'm afraid it's not all good news. You see, the road to hell is paved with good intentions and hope, and it's the hope that got you here in the first place. While these parties may have different policies to our useless ones, and actually might do good if given the chance to, we will have the same problem facing us. The rules of the parliamentary game are still written by the rich and powerful, hence is fundamentally rigged. Changing the color of the chess pieces on a rigged game doesn't make it less rigged. A cosmetic change in the political players of the game will not really do much when fundamentally, the problem is the constitutional one. When the laws that govern politics only allow for the rich and well-off to be the ones to be able to campaign for your vote, then you must understand that the limited choices you are given can only be those that have nothing in common with the average man on the street. Sure, they can convince you that they care about your problem until the time that you give them your vote and the power, but then they are free to throw all those promises in the bin and not give it a second thought. And guess what? There is nothing you can really do about it for 5 years because that is the parliamentary rule. And there you were thinking that you lived in a democracy and your leaders were accountable to you. The simple truth is, the rich will continue to get richer and the rest of us will continue to be screwed. And in such a system, you rise to the top or you sink to the bottom. Because if you are in the so-called middle class, you are in a churn and you will definitely feel that coming pain for a very long time. If the summary you draw from this video so far is the fact that we are fucked, then yes, we truly are. But it doesn't mean that we can't do anything about this shambles, because we can. But that's talk for another video entirely. This one has gone on for long enough. Till next time, friends.